When you've arrived at Bonaire, the first thing you are asked is, are you here for diving or for windsurfing? We typically answer neither, because we're here to discover new places and make the most unexpected discoveries. Lac Bay is probably one of the few places on the island where you can go fishing if you've brought a fishing rod with you. Here you can see many people who like to fly fish because there are schools of bonefish in the bay. It's a very welcome and difficult trophy for many fishermen. Here you can catch barracuda or snapper for dinner on the grill. I accidentally caught such a dangerous, poisonous, and tasty porcupine fish from which the dish fugu is prepared in Japan. We have a video on our channel about this interesting fish, so if you'd like, you can check that out. And by the way, there are quite a lot of them here, and they are often caught. In the daytime, the porcupine fish hides in the stones and goes out to hunt at nighttime. We spent a lot of time in the Washington Slag Nature Reserve. It's located in the northern part of the island. It's not possible to see everything in one day, but it's not too scary. The entrance ticket costs about $25 per person and is valid for 1 year. Therefore, we returned to it again and again, and each time we discovered something new for ourselves. The reserve was founded in 1969 to protect birds, reptiles, plants, and marine life. It occupies 1/5 of the entire island, which is approximately 5,500 hectares. All 4 species of the Caribbean sea turtles come here to lay their eggs. They are all endangered. Rare birds can also be observed here. Several types of cacti grow here. One of them is the cactus kadushi, from which the local cactus vodka and liquor is made. In the reserve, you can also stumble upon the dangerous cholla cactus, which, even if you accidentally hit one thorn, it will jump and attack you with the whole crowd of cacti, kind of like in a chain, and it will stick into your skin with these spikes, kind of like fish hooks, which makes it very difficult to pull them out of you. It is very painful and unpleasant. You can watch a video on our channel about this terrible cactus. The link is in the description below. The geographic relief of the reserve differs from the flat relief of the southern part of the island. Here is the highest point of Bonaire, Mount Brendaris, which is about 241 meters high. We made a heroic resurgence up the mountain, which is not easy to do, especially in 30-degree weather. The view over the Caribbean Sea and the island is simply beautiful. Many people say that sometimes in good weather conditions, you can see South America and the island of Curacao from the mountain. But we weren't too lucky. Mount Brendaris is on a short route around the reserve, and on a long route that can be traveled without stopping in 2.5 hours. There are many geographically significant places, such as Cerro Grande, which is Big Mountain, and it's not even a mountain, but a large layer of the seabed that was raised, turned over, and washed ashore islands thousands of years ago by a very strong tsunami. Fossils in the upper layers of the mountain, corals and sea animals, date back 1 million years ago, but in the lower ones, about 250,000 years ago. Another historical place is Malmac, where you can see the traces of powerful tsunamis, hurricanes, as well as an inoperative lighthouse built in the 19th century. Before Malmac, the map drove us to Post Mangle, bunch of thorny thickets where you can observe various rare birds. But instead of birds, we were attacked by wild iguanas. They were obviously begging for food and biting our legs. After we fed them all the apples, we still had to get in the car and leave because they would not leave us alone. In general, all lizards and iguanas on the reserve behave absolutely outbred and fight amongst themselves if you start to feed them. Therefore, it's not recommended to feed them, but they still know that people have food and try to beg for it by any means. They bite and throw themselves at your feet. The last interesting place before the road from the reserve starts to turn in the opposite direction is Boca Slag. Here you can stay overnight, snorkel, swim, and for scuba divers, you can dive into the depths. And also, here you can observe flamingos from a very close distance. Here you can almost see up to hundreds of birds at a time, which trample on their long legs along the salt marshes flooded with water right across the road from the beach. But don't pay attention to the people in the cars at all. They are so close that binoculars are not needed. The American flamingo, or as it's called, the Caribbean flamingo, is the only natural species inhabiting North America. The average bird height can reach up to 145 centimeters and weigh about 2.5 kilograms. The lifespan is about 40 years in the wild and 60 in captivity. This flamingo has the most intense pink coloration because of its diet of algae and pink shrimp Artemis selina, which is rich in beta and alpha carotene. If you drive north from Craylindick on the road to the city of Rincon, then on the east coast, you can visit mysterious caves with ancient Indian inscriptions. It is assumed that these inscriptions were made by people from Venezuela about 1,000 years ago. The drawings resemble sea inhabitants, like turtles, fish, mollusks. I think this is probably an ancient reference book depicting the animals that lived here. Let me suggest that these drawings may have been made with the sap of plants containing high concentrations of pigments, possibly mixed with some minerals, and therefore have survived to this day. But that's just my guess. We tried to climb into one of these caves filled with water. Going down, we saw lights like flickering candles, hissing, splashes, and some strange shadows. We were so scared that in a few seconds, we were already back on the surface of Earth. On the east coast, just north of Lac Bay, you can visit another mythical place where there is a local belief that here, on a stone, fishermen see mermaids, or sirens, sing a sad song, and this calls ships around and drowns them in underwater rocks. Looking at the seething huge wave and protruding rocks, one can imagine sunken ships lying on the bottom, but due to the strong underwater current and mass of the sharp rocks, they are unfortunately not accessible even for very experienced divers. Part of the island of Bonaire is a small island of only 6 square kilometers, Klein Bonaire. This is most likely part of the same reef formation as Bonaire itself, only separated from the main island by water. This island can be reached by water taxi. 2 campaigns in Bonaire for $20 will get you there and back. We always chose the day of the trip to Klein when there are no cruise ships in the port in order to avoid the crowds and the chance to catch any stomach flu. About Klein, I can only say the following things. Gorgeous, beautiful, amazing, unexpected, warm, pleasant, soothing, and bewitching. All this is impossible to convey in one video. This is a must-see. After being dropped off the boat on the sandy beach, walk along the coast for 1 kilometer or 2 towards the port from which you were just brought, then go into the water, just about 15-20 meters from the shore, with a mask and a snorkeling tube, and start swimming, following the light current that will take you to the same beach from which you just came. Swing right over to the place where the shallow water ends and a deep cliff begins. When you can see a coral reef that you have never seen in your life, hanging over a dark, deep abyss, right in front of your nose, you can see schools of parrotfish, angelfish, various coral fish, moray eels, octopi, squids, seahorses, as well as thickets of living corals, including the famous fire corals, which you do not need to touch with your hands or your feet, otherwise you will remember it for life. I'm going to share with you a secret that if you take frozen fish, sardines, or squid to the island with you, then all this coral brotherhood will not mind getting to know you better and showing off themselves in all their glory. Klein is also a nature reserve, and nobody catches the fish here. Therefore, they will be more than happy to make friends with you and will bite your legs, beg for treats. You can watch the full video on our channel. The link is below. There are also many iguanas on Klein who expect whatever they want from tourists, and the island is also home to many birds and plants. I think that we did not manage to see everything on this wonderful island, although we spent a lot of time here. On Bonaire itself, there are about 400 caves. Some of them are filled with water, and I think that Washington Slag has not fully revealed all of its secrets to us. I think it's pretty good for our first acquaintance, already on the plane flying home, and we dream of returning. Thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments or questions you may have below, and don't forget to subscribe.